Hello.
Yo.
Hello. Oh my god.
Jack?
I think that I think that I accidentally put a filter on here. Hold on, because it looks wonky. Everyone just talk to Katie. This is my sister. Huzzah.
Don't talk to me. I'm not here.
She's never existed. Oh. Is it? It's Emmy.
Wow. I got a birthday bag.
You got a birthday bag.
I got a birthday bag.
Emery is getting back from a birthday party right now.
Look.
That's fun.
I love that.
And I got so many M&Ms.
Thanks, Hannah. Hey guys. Okay, Emmy. I'm streaming now, so you gotta go, okay?
Okay.
Love you.
Love you.
Let me go push record on this because I just told Katie that I think I might put this out as a mini.
Recording in progress.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Oh God. It's so like official.
I know. Hello.
There's Katie.
Anyways, guys, this is Katie. This is my oldest little sister.
I'm the coolest one.
Well, I exist, so you're definitely the second coolest.
Mother, did you acquire McDonald's when I was gone?
You were at a birthday party, homie. You can go scavenge and see if there's anything in there. There should be whatever chicken nuggets are in there you can eat.
Are we gonna do the thing?
Oh, I already opened mine, so you can open yours. You can do the honorary bottle opening.
It's not a natty, but it'll do.
I love that for you. I'm not drinking an Natty either tonight. Tonight I am drinking a Truly, because they had the holiday ones out. So this is the pomegranate ginger fizz. Oh, there's a person here.
No, it was me.
What?
It was me.
Oh, okay.
How long do I heat these up for?
I don't know, like 30 seconds.
That's a lot. I'm gonna heat it up for a bit.
Hello, Pimpkin Daddy.
What's up, everyone?
Okay, what are you telling me about today? We're gonna talk true crime. Wait, do you have any titty talk?
Yeah, I did weigh my baby, and she weighs 16 pounds. So that's fun. Not to like brag or anything that my 3-month-old weighs 16 pounds, but
One of my guests today told me that she's with child, and I was like, you gotta look out for those freaking quarantine babies because those things are a different breed.
she's almost over, and I've almost got it to where she can sit. So
Jesus Christ, y'all are wild. I just told Katie this, but I was just at a birthday party, and if you don't know this about me, I had my babies at 19 and 22. So it's been 10 years since I've had a baby. And so I'm sitting in this room with people who have, and like my friend Hannah is fucking great. Like one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Hilarious. Her kids are obsessed with me. Me and Abby Kate are actual best friends. If you guys ever want to know what it's like to be best friends with a 4-year-old, it's the best thing in the world. To the point where like they can't go on walks without a knock on my door. It's usually Amanda, and it's Abby. So I love Hannah, but I went over there and I'm like watching all these like small kids run around and all of these like babies, and every part of me was like, I've officially made it to cool aunt status where like I love other people's kids, and like I'll hold my nieces and nephews, and I love them so much. Like Katie's son Jake and me spend the entire time we're together fighting and wrestling. Hey.
he's always like, when is that lady coming back?
No stories right now. Okay, I'm doing my thing. Give me 5.
I got hit in the eyebrow with a dinosaur.
I love that for you. Give me 5 and go eat your food. Okay, bye.
Love you.
Love you too. See, I can do that with my kids. And I love everyone else's kids, but as I'm standing in the middle of this birthday party, I'm like, I'm the cool aunt now. I'm the bougie aunt who shows up and is like, here's $100. See you in a year. So, no big deal.
Yeah. Other than that, no titty talk. What about you?
Not really. I did hair today. Hey, Brittany. let's see, I did hair. Bryce is at a magic tournament right now.
Fun.
I curled my hair again. Because I had, I feel like, I was just telling Katie, I feel like my mom in the 90s right now. What else? I still haven't finished my star, or my friggin' Imperial whatchajigget. I'm almost entirely done with Christmas for Everyone, which is exciting. I will say that today, Caitlin one-upped me. As I text my mother and I'm like, hey, your present's going to be late because of who I am as a person. And Katie's like, oh, Mom, your present's out for delivery. I'm like, oh.
I ordered early because it's handmade, so I didn't know if it would take like 2 months to ship.
I ordered early for me. You know?
Yeah. I actually have all of our Christmas stuff wrapped and under the tree.
Oh, all of my Christmas stuff is wrapped. Everything is wrapped, for sure. But I am playing a really fun game right now of Who Done It. So who sent the gift? Because you didn't send any gift tag, like, notes in your gift. So I'm, like, having to go back and look at the picture that you sent me and Mom so that I can figure out what it is that you got them, and so I can label it appropriately. And then I'm having to text Matthew, and thank God Matt's dad's fiance put little notes and all of it, because I was like, I don't fucking know who any of this is from. So I'm texting Matt. I'm like, Matthew, put a note. And he's like, I know, I'm sorry.
I didn't even think about putting notes on there. I should have done that.
Because now I'm like, because they get gifts from us, and then they get gifts from, you know, your guys' side, and then Bryce's side, and then Matt's side. So, because both the girls get presents from Matt's side of the family, too. Yeah. So, it's so much in one go.
Just wrap them and just, here you go, this is from someone.
Somebody got you this present.
I don't know who, but yeah, I know.
It wasn't us, so we'll send out, like, just mass thank you cards for everyone. I got my nails done, too.
I can't really see them. Are they green?
Yeah, they're green, and then these two are different, because I wanted them Christmassy, but not tacky, so.
Yeah. Well, you didn't want to go all the way like Carol 90s?
Carol in the 90s couldn't afford fingernails, or lip fillers, or good makeup, or...
Well, and it was the 90s.
Carol in the 90s was chasing around Amanda in the 90s, so she didn't have a lot of time for a lot of things. I was catching houses on fire. I got lost in Walmart. I got hit by a car. I walked to the beach by myself. If Mom would have shaken me when I was a child, I would have understood completely. Like, if I would have been a victim of shaken baby syndrome, it would have been me.
Well, and it's like, I mean, really, the makeup in the 90s was what, Mary Kay?
Maybe. No, it was a lot of CoverGirl was popular then. And then whoever made the, I remember very specifically because it was my first mascara too, the green tube with the green, or the pink tube with the green lid. Yeah. That was the mascara that Mom used. And she used CoverGirl for a really long time because whenever I started stealing her makeup was then. But it's funny now because, like, I know that I wish I would have worn good makeup from the jump. So now Emery's like, can I wear makeup? And I'm like, bitch, we're going to Ulta. Let's fucking go. Let's ride. Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
I was born in the 90s, so, you know.
You were. Well, I was almost born in the 90s. I was born in 89, so I'm essentially a fucking 90s kid.
Yeah, but you were, like, sentient in the 90s. I wasn't.
You're not wrong. I do have a few years on you. I have what? How old are you? 26?
Yeah, sure.
How old are you? 25?
I think 26.
You're 26. I know because you were born in 95, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know your birth year.
Yeah, 26.
Oh yeah, so I got a few years on you. You are the one who made me a middle child.
What can I say? And then, you know, they say that, you know, they love the youngest the most. And then came Brianna.
But also here's the thing, my need to have to compete for attention has put me in a really great spot in doing what I do. Well, I need to turn my lights down. I feel like I am so bright right now.
Yeah, you look like a ghost. There we go. That's better. Yes. Okay, you ready?
Talk murder to me, baby.
Okay, I'm so excited. This was crazy, all right? So, we are talking about Lonnie David Franklin Jr., okay? the Grim Sleeper.
Ugh.
They nicknamed him, which is awesome. And I was thinking,
No. Wait, here's the thing. This is where I have beef with the Grim Sleeper. It is hands down the best serial killer name, right? The Grim Sleeper is fucking great. He doesn't deserve something so great.
This is true. Okay, because this man is like...
Hi, B.
He's up there. I put him up there with Israel Keys.
Oh, he was diabolical.
Like Richard Ramirez. Okay.
I would put him up there with him number-wise, but not intellect-wise, because watching, like, his interviews and stuff, and the same with the Night Stalker, like, with Richard Ramirez, like, he was fucking basic bro who just was fucking awful. Israel Keys was smart on a level of uncomfortableness. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, keep
going. Okay. So, I am going to put a trigger warning, because we do talk about sexual assault here. So, trigger warning, if you're not in the headspace to talk about that right now.
Get the fuck out. In the best way.
Whenever. And then sources, I used Wikipedia, historydaily.org, and actually found a podcast, the Secret Sits podcast, on, I found it, I don't know if they're on Spotify or not, but he's pretty awesome. So, this takes place in Los Angeles in the 80s, okay? Los Angeles in the 70s and 80s was like crime central, serial killer central. We have the Sunset Strip killer, the freeway killer, Hillside Strangler, the Side Strangler, all these very prominent serial killers.
Golden State Killer.
Golden State Killer. And then Richard Ramirez was also in California, not necessarily just Los Angeles, but San Francisco. So, now, we actually don't know a ton about Lonnie Franklin Jr.'s childhood. There is almost nothing known except for the fact that he was born in South Central LA on August 30th, 1952. From there to high school, we know nothing. There is no records of him, nothing at all, which is kind of crazy, but
maybe he just was like one of those people. Maybe that was like his benefit, that like he flew under the radar, because clearly if you don't know anything about him and like no one had anything to say about him, it probably meant that he, not that he wasn't notable, but he was one of those people that just kind of just there and nobody really paid attention to him. So after high school, he joined the Army straight out of high school, right in. And he actually was dishonorably discharged because Franklin and two other service members decided that while they were stationed in Germany, it would be a super cool idea to kidnap a 17-year-old girl by offering her a ride. And when she said yes, one of them held a knife to her throat, and they took turns assaulting her. Good time with your buddies, right? What? Like, get a new hobby. Go to fucking In-N-Out like a normal person, or like
it's Germany. Go get some beer.
It's the 70s. You can go do cocaine off of a stripper's ass anywhere. Like, that would be way cooler.
And they want it. The strippers want it.
Yeah.
Now, this actually, from what I'm reading, is one of the events that imprints on Franklin's MO for his murders.
Okay.
During this assault, one of the men decided to take pictures of the girl while they're assaulting her. And this becomes a huge, huge part of his MO. I know, it's disgusting.
You know what I hate? This.
Yeah, the worst. Ugh. So, that becomes a big part of his MO. She decides to convince Franklin, hey, I really like you. I want to talk to you again.
Hold on, you cut out. Or you're frozen. Hello? Hello?
German police.
Wait a second. Time out.
Okay, what did we hear last?
You've been frozen. She decides to tell Franklin that she likes him.
Yes. Okay. She decides to tell Franklin, hey, I really like you. I want to talk to you again. Can I get your phone number? And he says, yeah, sure, why not?
Wait, the girl that he assaulted did this?
Yes. So the girl that they just assaulted as a group gets his phone number, immediately goes to the police.
Yeah, rightfully so. Love that for her.
This guy just assaulted me with two people. Here's his phone number. They track him down by his phone number, and They were arrested, tried, convicted, all three of them. They received 4 years. 4 years. And that's it. Franklin only served a year. And nobody knows why. There's no reason why he got out after a year. The other two men did serve their full sentences. So it's not known why Franklin was let out.
Woof.
Now, after that, he returns to Los Angeles in the 70s, and he starts working as a mechanic and as a garbage man for the city, which is super important to how he disposes of the bodies.
Okay.
He married twice. His first marriage didn't last long. He divorced her. I guess she was a drug addict. There's not much known about her, actually. We don't even know her name.
He's pretty abusive, too, isn't he, though? Like, throughout his life. I just watched something on him not too long ago. Like, he is, like, a really angry person by nature. Like, innately just, like...
He is to his wives.
And very, like...
And
but
I believe to his daughter. I don't think so much to his son. Because he does have 2 kids.
No, he hates women. He, like, very clearly, like, does not like women. And it's very, it comes across, like, throughout his life in, like, little instances.
My personal opinion is that it's something that happened in his childhood that we don't know about. You know, whether it's with his mom or whoever. But we don't know the name of his daughter. She has stayed completely away from media. I think she changed her name.
I would too.
And she wanted nothing to do with anything. And his second wife as well.
Okay.
She will not do interviews. She has not talked to anybody. So he also, like, worked in his community and neighborhood to, like, help people around the house and with the yard and, like, fix their cars. And he, like, would fix police cars and stuff, like, just out of the goodness of his heart, you know, quotation marks. And so everybody was like, oh, this man is so nice. Like, he's such a great guy. Well, behind the scenes.
Joke's on you.
Right. So it originally was believed that he started his killing spree in 1985.
Okay.
But there are earlier killings that could be linked to him, and nobody could prove it. Because...
Was he suspected of them, or was it like...
He was suspected because of, I'll get into it in just a minute, but it's because of his trophy that he kept.
Yes.
And then also because of his MO, but they never found any DNA. And honestly, and this part made me so mad reading about it, all of these cases that are linked to him were marked as NHI, no humans involved. Because they were used for fringe killings, sex workers, drug addicts, ex-cons, runaways, that kind of thing. Very, very specifically, Black women, which is what targeted. And it's still happening today.
Well, no, because this is a huge issue. So I just watched on Netflix, there's a documentary. I just talked about this with my friend the other day. I watched a documentary called Catching Killers, and the first one that they go over is, so they talk to the detectives who did the work on, like, a few big, I think they did the Green River Killer, they did Eileen Wuornos, and then the Smiley Face Killer. Well, during the Green River Killer, the cops somehow made themselves the victims, where they were like, we were just doing our best, and the community said that, you know, we weren't doing enough because of who they were. Okay, here's the thing, sir. The entire fucking episode you're calling them prostitutes. How about we check our vernacular and call them sex workers? Because fuck you. And through the entire thing, all of them do it. And it's very clear, like, you can't be a cop in the 70s and 80s and know that so many sex workers were murdered because of their high risk lifestyle, which was, like, their excuse for everything. And then sit here on this TV show and somehow try and make yourself the victim when you mention 2, and I'm actually really mad at Netflix for it. They only mentioned 2, I think, during the Green River Killers episode. 2 of the names of the victims. The rest of them, they were just like, oh, there was just, like, another prostitute in a field, and, like, detective so-and-so, and, like, it were just, like, if it were an anime, there would have been, like, stars flying off of him, and he would have been, like, shining.
They really play up the detectives and the police and but they were doing everything they could.
Okay.
No, they weren't.
You didn't give a shit because they weren't affluent white women or little white girls. You didn't give a fuck.
As a black man who targeted black women in black neighborhoods,
he knew what he was doing.
The police didn't care. It's just another murder.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another high crime rates, risky lifestyles. It's no human.
I was gonna say something, but I can't say it.
So mad.
I was gonna say something, and I can't say it right now, but I'll tell you afterwards because I can be super like not PC to you, but I can't say it right here. I'll lose so many listeners, but it will be funny.
So, personally, I believe that if they had not labeled these as no humans involved and had actually taken a look at these cases sooner than 2007 when they did, I think they would have caught him way sooner.
Oh, I bet. Absolutely.
He was not careful.
No.
He was not careful.
Not even a little bit. The victim that like alluded them to him got shot in the head.
Never talked to her. They never talked to her. The woman that got away, they never talked to her. Oh, hello. Hi. Yeah, they didn't talk to her. Whenever... Anyways, I'll get into that.
Yes, sorry, okay.
So, what I was saying is, we still see this a lot today. Like, very prominent cases like Gabby Petito. I'm so glad they found her. Don't get me wrong. Super glad they found her.
I know,
that case.
I said this.
There are so many women that are missing. There are women of color.
Well, there were 30 in that town alone. 30 women had gone missing. 30 indigenous women had gone missing, and nobody said anything. Their families tried to make the news with them. It fucking didn't happen. Kaity is what you call her, right? Your Kaity actually like said something like that to me, or I want to say it was Kaity who wrote me and told me about a man that was, it might not have been her, it might have been someone else, who was missing in the area as well, who was a black man, and no one fucking gave a fuck until his family was like, yo, cool, Gabby went missing, you guys lose your shit. My son has been missing for, like, well, the thing is that no one will call it like it is, because then they think you're trying to be a problem, but here's the thing, the first step to fixing, okay, Kaity. So Kaity was the one who told me. Jelani Day. Jelani Day,
yes, that happened in Bloomington.
Mm-hmm. After Kaity sent me that, I went and looked into it, and I was like, what? Well, and right as I'm looking into it, quite a few more podcasts had gotten a hold of it, so I was like, okay, there's nothing I can really add to this, but I mean, you look at it and nobody will say anything because they're like, oh, well, you're making it a problem. It's like, here's the thing, like, we recognize that, like, there's an issue, but, like, you need to, too, so that we can fucking work on it, because no one will call it like it is. And the thing is like, it's still, to this day, like, a woman who has, like, if I went missing, who would know? You know, like, I don't have an internet presence, so no one can fucking sensationalize me.
Right.
Like, it's insane. If I go missing, though, you guys better put out, like, the most outlandish story of who I was. All right?
We're going to put you on milk cartons and call it a day.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's it. And, like, not even the good milk cartons, like the shitty milk cartons that are, like, off-brand that nobody buys.
Okay, but, like, also you should make sure you use a different picture every time, because my different filters make me look like a different person, so no one will be able to put two and two together. My hair texture changes weekly.
People would be like, hey, didn't you have a sister that used to stream and, like, do a podcast? I'd be like, oh, yeah, she went missing.
She's actually just deep undercover right now, working on her own story, because that's how humble I am.
I'm not supposed to tell you this, but she's working with the FBI.
You better not let anybody else, no other podcast gets to cover my missing persons case, okay? Because I would like to do it myself when I annoy the fuck out of my captors. Because eventually you're like, we can't even kill her. Just get rid of her.
Just, oh my god, she never stops talking about serial killers.
Or herself. It's getting really weird.
You want to do what?
She keeps asking me if I've drank water. Like, what?
You drink enough water today?
You seem like you're in a bad mood. What's your water intake like? You seem really grumpy today.
Have you tried meditation?
Have you tried not? Could you not? Okay, sorry.
So, the police put in so little effort into solving these that in 1989, the community is so aware of these murders. They're like, nobody is doing anything. We have to step up and do something because the police clearly are not going to.
Yeah.
So they formed the Black Coalition Fighting Back Serial Murders. super long name, totally unneeded. But they formed this coalition and they used that to spread information about the murders, and they set up rewards trying to get any information on who this killer could be.
Uh-huh.
And as a result, the police said, oh, wait, but we're doing something about this. And so they decide to, quote, investigate. And they go, we think it's actually the Southside Slayer. We think it's Southside Slayer. We haven't caught this man yet, but, you know, we really think that all these murders are done by him. And the community is like, no.
Why are
like,
they getting these cool names? Why are they giving them these awesome names? Like, give them shitty names. Like, oh, that's just Bob who stinks.
Yeah. Oh, and I get into that, by the way, with the interview. When they interview, I listened to the full interview today. It was like a full 45-minute interview that I listened to, and I get into that a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about the victims next, because I feel like it's super important to talk about the victims,
yes.
because these are Black women who, most of them were sex workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people just were like, who cares, you know? Yeah. So first I'm going to talk about the MO of his killings during the 80s, because his MO changes. So during the 80s, he sexually assaulted them, photographed them, and shot them in the chest with a 25 caliber gun. Which
is wild to me, because you can almost survive a 25 caliber shoot. I mean, someone does.
Yes. So he then leaves their bodies in alleyways, usually among piles of trash. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind here that he is a garbage man. Yes. So he would be coming back and going to these sites to
and seeing
get
them.
The dumpsters.
Also, I mean, psychologically speaking, it literally speaks to what he thought of these women.
Of these women, yes. He thought that they were literal trash. So, his first victim, he was convicted for this victim, is Deborah Jackson. She was 29. She was found in August 1985. We don't have an exact day. That's how little the police cared.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
They do not know the exact day that they found her body. The second victim is Henrietta Wright. She was 34. August 10th, 1986. He was convicted for her murder. The third victim is Barbara Ware. She was 23. January 10th, 1987. So he starts off slow at first. Yeah. That's one victim a year. After that, he very, very quickly picks up pace. He escalates very quickly. The next victim is Bernita Sparks. She was 26. This happened on April 15th of 1987, and he was convicted. Mm-hmm. And then comes Mary Lowe. She was 26. So, I mean, they're all within like a 10 age gap here. Yeah. And that was April of 87, and he was convicted. November of 87, and he was convicted. Then came Lucretia Jefferson. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. She was 22. That was January 30th of 88, and he was convicted. And then comes Alicia Alexander, and she was 18. So far, she is his youngest victim. And he was convicted, and her body was found September 11th of 88. Okay. Now, after this, he attacks a woman named Henrietta Washington. Yes. She is the only known official survivor of the Grim Sleeper. In 1988, he sexually assaults her in his car. He shoots her in the chest. He then takes a Polaroid picture of her and shoves her out of his car onto the street. He does not pose her in an alleyway like he does with the others. He just pushes her out of the car and goes. He doesn't make sure she's dead. She gets up and she goes and finds help and gets to a hospital. Mm-hmm. The police come, they interview her, talk to her briefly, and then say, oh, well, you know, she even described his vehicle down to a T. She described him. She said that he was neat, he was tidy, he was polite, until she got into the car and he started driving. And then it was like he changed completely. Yeah. After this is when he supposedly takes his 14-year break. And that's where he gets the name Grim Sleeper from. Okay. Because he supposedly takes a break here. Now that they've gone back and looked at cases in this 14-year stretch, they think that he did not take a break. Yeah. They think that he changed his MO. I also was reading that they think that he might have used his job as a garbage man to dispose of bodies in landfills by dumping their bodies in an actual dumpster the day before he would be picking that dumpster up to go take it to a landfill.
Were his victims, were they hitchhiking? Was he picking them up under the pretense that they were doing sex work for him? Were they people like that he was abducting? Like, obviously he abducts them.
Some of them were sex workers that were actively out working, and he'd say, you know, because that was a frequent thing that he did. He would go out, he would hire a sex worker, and he would have sex with them, and then pay them, and they would leave. And sometimes, and they think that it's because they disrespected him in some way, or, you know, talked back to him or said, no, I'm not doing that. That's weird. If he asked them to do something.
Yeah.
He decided, I'm going to kill her. Because no woman disrespects me, kind of thing.
Okay.
So, now those are his 80s victims.
Now he had, time out, sorry. He had a woman that traveled with him, right?
He did have a girlfriend, and I actually did not find out much about his girlfriend from the 80s.
So, but this was a woman that he traveled with that was, like, much older than him, right? Like, they would...
I didn't read anything about
so
that.
I watched, you'll have to go watch it. There's a documentary on... I don't remember if it's HBO. I don't think it's HBO. I think it might be Netflix or Amazon Prime. And or I also pay for Investigation Discovery Plus. So that I can watch Ghost Adventures every week.
Just Ghost Adventures, that's it.
No, they've got great true crime documentaries on there. But if I remember correctly, and I don't think I'm getting this wrong, it was like an older black lady who traveled with him because he and she was his girlfriend. And then, but once he got really, really mean, it was actually her and another guy, I think, and the guy left because they used them later against him.
Okay, I didn't hear anything about that. Maybe
because he was like in and out of prison, wasn't he? Like throughout his life, like he was like a regular in prisons or like in jail, like brief stints in jail.
He had a couple of like petty thefts. I think he had a minor assault,
like a sexual assault charge, and he like got he if I remember, and I don't think that I was high enough to make this up. I think I'm pretty sure that that's what it was, is that like they used him, and but he always like got away with shit because he was just this like regular dude. Like nothing about him seemed abnormal.
Nothing, like out of the box kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
He was, when I watched the interview, he was so like, he wasn't charismatic, but he just was confident, and he was like so
he's like Ned Sanders from fucking, he's just like your next door neighbor.
Right, exactly. The guy was a mechanic. He worked
Flanders.
on cars.
Flanders? You know what I'm talking about? Flanders, right?
Flanders. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Flanders.
Sorry.
So, the murders that happened in the 90s that they think could be connected to him, they really could never find enough evidence to try to convict him for those or connect him to them. So, they just didn't bother taking him to trial for those because what was it going to do? If anything, it would hurt their case.
Yeah. Because you need to focus on the things you actually have evidence of.
Right. So the other thing is that during that time period, that 14-year stretch, is there are missing women who have never been found that are Franklin's preferred victim type. They were sex workers. They were black women who lived in that neighborhood. He dumped so close to his home. He would just put their bodies blocks from his home.
Classic mistake. Read a book.
Well,
you don't shit where you eat.
The police weren't investigating, so it didn't matter because they never would have connected him because they didn't care. So I really think that he probably did not stop killing because he escalated so much there. I doubt that the whole Henrietta getting away stopped him from killing.
He probably switched to a method that he didn't prefer as much because he eventually switch back?
He does.
Okay.
He does eventually switch back, and he combines his two methods. So
he's just shaking it up.
He really did. He was like, let's, shake this up a little bit. So he did change his MO when he came out of his sleep from shooting his victim to strangulation.
Okay.
for the first two victims. Now, these happened in 2000. The first one was in 2002.
Damn, he's old as fuck at this point in time.
Right. He is quite old at this time. He's, I believe, in his 50s.
When I'm that old... Oh, 50... Oh, okay, never mind. Just kidding.
Carol's in here. Sorry, Mom. So, this is his youngest victim.
Okay.
She is 15.
Yep.
Her name is Princess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to pronounce her last name. It is a French last name, I believe. It's Princess Cheyenne Berthameau. Berthameau.
I wish that I was talented enough to know any French. The only French I know is from Lafayette and Hamilton. That's what I got.
Michael took French. I should have asked him first. But so he was convicted for her murder. She was found on March 19th of 2002. I was 7 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't hear any of this when, these murders happened because, one, they got no news time. Again, these are Black women, a Black teenager. I believe that she was a runaway, and he convinced her, hey, I'll help you, get in, let's go,
Yeah.
His next victim was over a year later, July 11th, 2003, Valerie Louise McCordy. She was 35. He was convicted of her murder. And then his final victim was Janicia Peters. She was 25, and she was killed on January 1st, 2007, and they found her body that day.
Jesus.
And he was convicted. So I also have suspected there are 6 more victims here that they are almost 100% positive that he killed them based on the MO that links it, and he kept trophies.
Okay.
A lot of serial killers keep trophies, and he was not the exception. He decided that he was going to keep the photographs, but he would also keep jewelry that he found on their bodies. So he had a big box in his garage of jewelry from these women. Now, those first 2 victims, Princess and Valerie, he did strangle them. He did not shoot them. Janicia Peters, he strangled and then shot her after assaulting her.
Okay.
And that is actually why he was found, why they started investigating, because he used this same gun for that murder that he used in the 80s. So it linked that murder to his 80s murders, and they were like, whoa, hang on, these unsolved murders, this guy is active again.
How do they know, like, okay, like, I'm gun stupid. Is there, like, a registry of, like, bullet pattern, like...
So each gun, the inside of the barrel of the gun...
It's like a fingerprint.
...has special grooves.
Yeah.
So when a bullet is shot out, it will match every time. And that's how they test it, is, I guess they took pictures of the bullets from...
What made them go... Like, what made them bring up, like, did they, like... Is there a...
So what I assume happened is they had begun to start, like, an online... There's, like, an online nationwide registry that police can access.
Yes.
And say, okay, I have this bullet. Here's the pattern. Does it match any bullets from around the United States? And this was a newer thing, along with actually how they were caught, which is the DNA.
Well, they still don't even have, like, which is crazy to me that they're, like, making this bullet registry, and you know that there's still not, like, a nationwide, like, database for this, right? Like,
Yes.
they're, like, they literally had to pretty much crowdfund that, program. I watched a whole thing about, I want to say the Long Island serial killer, or something like that, where they're like, we have not, like, if we had this database up and running, like, we absolutely could... Do you say data or data? Database?
Depends.
Oh.
If I'm saying data, it's data. If I'm saying database.
But I feel like database works, too. Anyways, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yes. So that's the only reason they linked these murders.
Okay.
And then so they started to take a look back, saying, oh, okay, this is the area they were found in. So they started looking at all these murders. And like I said, there's 6 other victims here. Like, one of these girls was 18. and they found her school ID card.
Did he have a child in the interim? Like, what, was there any indicator of, like, why he would stop for so long? If he did, like, did he get married? Did he have a kid? Did he get a career? Like,
No. There was nothing that drastically changed in his life. I believe that his children were young in the late 80s, but they weren't.
How do you have time to do that? God.
His wife had no idea.
Well, like,
none.
I feel like I would be the best person. Like, if Bryce was going to be a murderer, having me as your wife is going to be the best case scenario, because one, I'm like, no one could ever murder me. I have a God complex. No one could murder me, especially not me. Two, he'd just have to go, I'm going to play Magic, and I go, okay, see you later. And then the cops come knocking, and I'm like, he was in a Commander tournament. Like, what do you want from me?
What are you talking about? He's playing Magic. Nerd.
Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, this girl, her school ID card was found in his garage. Another woman, her Nevada driver's license was found in his garage. Jewelry of several of these women. There actually was also one man that they think he murdered, which is super out of the norm for Mr. Franklin here, because he did not kill men. He killed women because he hated them.
Yeah.
They think that this man, Thomas Sylvester Steele, he was 36 when he was killed. He was killed in August of 1986.
Okay.
So this is 2 years before he takes his 14-year sleep.
Okay.
They believe that he was either a friend of one of Franklin's victims and had somehow found out how to identify Franklin, knew who he was, what he had done,
okay,
and confronted him about it. Instead of going to the police and being like, hey, I know who this is.
He did the footwork. You don't ever do the footwork. You don't do the footwork. Rule number 1.
Right. So, they're pretty positive. They cannot link it by DNA, but they are pretty positive that he killed him. Now, his body was not dumped or anything. He was shot in an intersection and left there.
Okay.
Middle of the night. I think this happened while Franklin was out hunting for another victim. Okay. And the guy confronted him and said, hey, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. You know, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to the police. For whatever reason.
Like, just go to the cops, homie.
Right. I don't...
Like, smarter, not harder. The thing is like, let them do the work.
Right. So, there is only, and I say this in quotations, proof of him being involved with 25 victims.
Okay. Only.
Murdered. But they found a collection of over 1,000 photos of women and teenage girls in his garage. And police believe that these women are either victims or girlfriends. Okay. By their statement.
1,000?
1,000. Now, they did not specify whether this was different women, how many different women. I know that they did release some of these photos to try to identify some of these women. Because they said, well, we don't know that all of these pictures are women who are dead.
Yes.
They could be sleeping.
Charles! Stop it, sir! Stop it. Stop it. Stop. Oh my god.
He's so good.
It was just... It was the worst moment to do that. It scared the shit out of me.
So, the police tried to say, well, it could be sexual partners. You know, these women could be asleep.
Well, maybe he didn't kill everyone that he assaulted.
Right. So
maybe that break was just
1,000
him.
Pictures.
Oh no, that's disgusting.
That's a lot.
It's gross.
So they did release some of these pictures to try to find these people's families, and I can't imagine being like, my daughter is missing. They're releasing these photos. I have to look to see if this is her, and then see your daughter. None of them were ever identified.
I hate that. I hate this.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, after the death of Janicia Peters in 2007, the police are trying to solve her murder. This is when they're no longer being labeled as no humans involved. They're actually trying to solve these murders now that are happening. Los Angeles has cleaned up a little bit. They're not quite murder central any longer. There's not as many serial killers. The police never tell the public that a serial killer is active again.
Oh, yeah.
They never warn anybody, hey, this guy is active again. You guys need to stay inside at night. You need to not go out. This is the kind of woman he's attacking. Nobody is warned. The women that he murdered in the 80s, their families are never contacted to say, hey, we think that, you know, your child was murdered or your wife was murdered by this man. Do you know him? You know, does anybody fit this description?
Yeah.
They never contact anybody. So they find DNA at the scene of Janicia Peters. They take DNA and they actually have to petition to be able to access records of like DNA databases of convicted felons to try to connect these murders. They don't get an exact match, but they do get a familial DNA match.
Okay.
To Lonnie's son, Christopher Franklin. He was convicted of a weapons charge in 2008. So this is a full year after Janicia's murder.
Okay.
Obviously, he was too young to have committed the 80s murders. So they were like, okay, let's look at the father. They followed him all over the place. They followed him as he was trying to pick up sex workers. A cop even shined his light in his car as he was about to pick up a sex worker. And he takes off. And he still went out the next night.
Yeah,
again.
that like this happened all the time with him. Like,
yes.
Like constantly.
Yes. So they finally followed him to a pizzeria in Buena Park, California.
Pizzagate.
And he tosses the pizza crust and the utensils and the napkin in the trash.
DNA!
And they take it and they test it for DNA and they found a match.
Rookie mistake, my dude.
Oh, yeah. So they bring him in for questioning, and this is where I watched this entire interview.
Yeah.
It was like a 45-minute interview that I watched. 2 cops, 2 detectives interviewed him, and they very much played the good cop and the bad cop. The bad cop was very like, look, I know you did this. I'm not messing around with this.
I know that you're talking about people, but do you know that the only thing I can think about whenever you say good cop, bad cop is the Lego movie?
I know what you're talking about because Jake loves that movie.
That good cop, bad cop, the one who's like really nice. And he's just like, oh, hello, what was your name? And the other guy's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, I don't think he says fuck, Amanda. It's a Lego movie.
Yeah, well, they can also turn their heads around in circles, so you know what? Fuck it.
Well, I mean, these detectives did not turn their heads around in circles. Although, they seemed like they might because of this man, but... So they were interviewing him. They're like, do you know why you're here? And he's like, nah, man, I got no idea. What's going on?
What?
And they're like, dude, like...
Murder, you brought her.
And he's like, I've never murdered anybody. And they're like, come on, like, we've got your DNA. They put out all the pictures of every single woman that they've linked him to, you know, including this woman that got away, like, and he's like, don't know him.
Never heard of her.
Like, my guy, your DNA's on their bodies. Never seen him before. And he is just so adamant. And he continues until he dies. Even after he's convicted, he's like, I didn't do this.
Yeah, because they would go in, the reporters would go in and, like, talk to him. And, like, he had, like, oh, God, he had someone, like, that he reached out to tell his story. Because he's, like, very, very, very self-righteous. Like, really exceptionally self-righteous, if I remember correctly. I watched a document. I have to send it to you. It's so good.
So, they ended up just being like, look, man, you're not getting out of this. You can either tell us what happened or you can just go and we'll just bring it to trial and let the jury decide. You know, there's no getting out of this at this point. There's no going back and working on cars.
Yeah.
You know, and he just never says anything. And they go, well, have you seen the billboards around town about these murders? Have you seen it on TV? He goes, I mean, I watch TV. I watch the news. And they're like, oh, so you know what they're calling this guy? He goes, oh, man, what are they calling him? The Reaper? Trying to play it off. And he's very clearly, like, beating around the bush there. He knows what they're calling him.
Yeah.
And and then, of course, the detective's like, the Grim Sleeper. We're sitting here having a conversation with the Grim Sleeper. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I didn't do that. And he's got, like, a smile on his face this whole time. And he just, no emotion throughout the whole interview.
Like,
I mean, this guy...
You can't outrun science. Like, you literally, you have a physiological fucking fingerprint. You have a biological fingerprint.
And that is what the detectives, the bad cop, was saying. He's like, dude, your DNA is your DNA. There is nobody else. Your son does not have your DNA. His DNA is his own, And he's like, we've linked you to this. It's matched perfectly. But he still just held on to it, saying, it wasn't me. So they
maybe it was like just a really big Shaggy fan.
Yeah. So that was in 2010. So that's 3 years after Janicia Peters' murder. Stop, Amanda. God.
I'm sorry. I just thought it was really funny. I got great joy in my own joke. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So that was 2010 when they arrested him. That's 3 years after Janicia Peters' murder. They don't go to trial until February of 2016.
Well, yeah.
That is 6 more years.
I'm sure he was a pain in the ass.
Yes,
I'm sure he was an absolute pain in the ass.
His defense tried to argue that the taking of his DNA out of the trash can was an illegal search.
So, not an illegal search, but I agree that they should be able to take it, but my brain just went, can you imagine being the legal team for the Grim Sleeper?
I can't.
Because, like, what do you do morally and ethically? Because you know that they tell you, like, you don't actually have to believe your client's innocence.
No.
You just have to plant reasonable doubt. Like, you never have to actually say this person is guilty or not guilty. You have to say, this person could have not done this.
Right.
Ugh.
Are we positive, though? Are you 100% positive? Because if you're not...
I hate that.
And then, like, behind the scenes, they're like, dude, this dude is guilty.
Like, how do you go to sleep at night knowing that, like... Also, like, the idea that you're trying to argue DNA, like...
Right. Yes. Let's just throw science out the window here.
Yes.
Because without the DNA, you got nothing.
Yeah.
So, but that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to get the DNA thrown out and go, without the DNA, you guys can't prosecute him because you have nothing else.
Yeah.
Other than, the mementos and the photographs in his garage.
Other than, everything.
Literally.
I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. He's got a tavern full.
So, they went to trial. The whole time Franklin maintains his innocence. They did present evidence about his other suspected victims, not as, like, hey, we want to try to get him on these crimes too, but just as a, hey, he also might have done this.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, that he is still doing this. He has not stopped. These aren't murders that happened 20 years ago. He was still doing this when we arrested him. So, he finally went to trial. There was a huge delay in trial. He finally, in June of 2016, was sentenced to death. He was convicted on all 10 counts of murder and 1 attempted murder. He sat on death row for 4 years, and then he was found dead in his cell on March 29th, 2020.
Him and Jeffrey Epstein, right?
His cause of death is unknown. Mm-hmm. There was no signs of trauma to his body, and the autopsy results still are not released to the public.
Suspicious.
Is he really dead, though? Let's talk about it.
Oh, you have a conspiracy theory for me, too?
I wish.
Oh, damn. God,
I didn't see it.
Really excited.
I just like, got like picture of his body.
This was like a treat for me. Do you like that? I was like, wait a second.
Sorry to get your hopes up.
Conspiracies?
Right. So yeah, that is the Grim Sleeper.
That was
Super
good.
fun.
That was good. I give you
never want to go out at night ever.
A+ research. Do you know the only murderer that has ever actually scared me and made me terrified to go to sleep at night was what was it called? The Visalia vampire or something like that. There was a vampire that a guy who would so they call him a vampire because they would find his victims drained of blood. And so when they caught him, he was like, I only went into houses with their doors open because I took that as an invitation in. So now I lock everything because I'm like, no invitations for you.
No vampires. I was thinking about that the other day while watching True Blood, actually. I was like, what if somebody just leaves their door open? That's technically an invitation.
I feel like it's like an open invitation.
Right. Like, hey, my door's open. Come on in.
That's the only one but that's wild. That was really well done. You did a good job.
Thanks. I was super nervous. I was shaking. You can't see my arms, though.
I don't know why you were shaking. These people listen to me talk every week. Every week.
4 of them are my friends.
And one of them's our mom. So.
That's true. Yeah.
You've seen the inside of her birthing canal. You guys are exceptionally close.
I blocked that out. I don't.
You should feel so comfortable right now.
I can actually. Hey, I can never say that to Charlotte.
You can't. I can. My kids pretty much walked out of me. They were like, gaping hole.
Nope, not Charlotte. 10-pound Charlotte. No.
Fuck.
I have a video. My anesthesiologist took a video of them pulling her out.
I like my insides, not on my outside. Okay, I want to keep. I'm selfish and I don't do well with sharing, so I want to take all of those and leave them inside of my body.
Yeah, Michael said, "Well, that's closer to you than I ever thought I was going to be."
He's like, I've seen your insides.
Yeah, and I didn't have to kill you to see them.
I can't say that. Bryce did say after I birthed Emery, not saying, hey babe, you did a good job. She's so beautiful. I'm so proud of you. He looks me deadpan in the eyes and goes, I've seen things I cannot unsee. And I was like, I told you not to look.
I will take C-section every day.
No, I don't like the idea of being... I don't even like to go to the dentist, though. I shake when I go to the dentist.
I was shaking. The nurse, when they were putting the scuttle tap in, I was like, can I hold on to you? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, wow, hi, okay.
I want to let you guys know that my parents and probably the rest of our family will definitely testify that they think that I'm the most dramatic of the children. I would like to say that's entirely wrong because Caitlin is talking to me about her C-section with my beautiful chubby ass niece Charlotte, and Katie goes, they cut me in half. And I was like, they did not cut you in half. They make a small incision.
No, I was halfway open on the table. They might as well peel my skin back like this.
Caitlin was just like a really long member of Poseidon. Whenever that fucking cord breaks and it cuts everyone in half, they were like, oh, you know what? We're Poseidoning it. Guillotine! The nurse isn't like, the doctor's not like scalpel. He's like, 18th century murder weapon? Bring it here.
No, my doctor, she leaned over the curtain. She goes, how you doing, Caitlin? I said, well, I ain't fucking doing this again.
And this is the truest crime of all, you guys, children.
It's true.
What's worse than a rapist?
A child.
A child.
No.
I was mom's worst birth, so there's that. Dramatic
you always have been difficult, Amanda.
Extra from day one, baby. If I'm too much, go find less.
I was the easiest, let's be honest.
No, mom went in pretty much fucking shit Mackenzie on the floor. One wrong move and Mackenzie would have... Mom!
Mom!
The world can see this, woman!
I'm so glad I had a C-section.
Okay, we're not talking about babies now. Babies are gross and disgusting, and they grow up and they continue to be gross and disgusting. I want to say it
Yes.
gets better, but it does not.
Great.
No.
Super excited. So
They just they turn out like me.
yeah.
I'm one
Just
for
like
one
you.
on nieces who are my twin.
Yes, you and Amaya
She's really
look
mine.
like exactly alike as children, except she's half black.
Oh my god, Charles just farted and it smells like something died inside of him. I think there's a demon coming out of him. It smells like sulfur.
You leave my brother alone. Okay.
He's your nephew.
Mom. Thank you, Mom. Nephew, whatever.
Thanks,
Pepper's my
Mom.
brother.
It's because we're your best children.
Don't want to brag or anything, but like
I will. I'm really great at everything that I do.
I mean, I don't want to say that I'm probably going to be an internet sensation now, but I might be an internet sensation now.
Yes. Sure. You would hope that it would work like that. I'm really trying hard with TikTok. The cutest.
So many views, though.
No, wait. Dad did the most fucking precious thing this morning, okay? The man never calls me. He does every now and then, but most of the time it's just to tell me, like, keep me updated on Grandma and Grandpa's, like, shit. And, he calls me, and I miss his call, and I call him back, and he's like, hey, baby, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, okay. He goes, that video you made was so great. I just watched it, and I was like, wow, this is really awesome. He goes, I was watching it on the shitter.
Of course he was. That's the only time that man has time.
And I was like, thanks, Dad. And he goes, and I don't know how you put those pictures behind you and made it into slides.
Bless him.
He was like, but it was so good, Amanda. You could be on TV. And I was like, thanks, Dad.
Did you call somebody? Doesn't he have connections?
I was just laughing so hard because Dad watches my TikToks while he shits.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom. Love you. Like, I was cracking up laughing, dude. Like, I got off and I was like, I think Dad just did the oldest old man thing in the world.
That's an old person thing.
It was very funny, though. Like, I was fucking... Oof.
I bet he watches it at max volume, too.
Because, well, he can't hear shit.
He was like...
While it's 63 degrees in the house. Okay. All right, guys. We're gonna hop off of here now. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I got to take a small break from my child who I can hear crying.
I love having people on here is my thing. And so, like, it's really nice to actually get to, like, physically, see somebody. I think this might be my first YouTube video. Because I just set up the YouTube, so I think I might upload this there, so.
Gross. You use me as your first YouTube video? Gross.
Oh my god, whatever. So, guys, thanks for listening to my sister, Kaity.
Yes,
thank you.
Did we do the This is Homies and Homicide?
Oh my god, no. This is Homies and Homicide, and I'm Amanda.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we did that at the end.
I don't know if he can edit that so that it's at the front.
Probably not, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Go follow me on all of my social medias. I'm on Facebook, Homies and Homicide, Instagram, Homies and Homicide, Twitter, Homies in Homicide, TikTok now, Homies and Homicide. Twitch. If you're listening to this and not watching it, go follow me on Twitch so you can see my stupid sister be my stupid sister.
Yeah.
Pretty much. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being on here. You're not the worst person I know.
I might be the best.
I know myself.
But you also know me.
Unfortunately. Fucking unfortunately. Okay, guys. I'm gonna hop off of Twitch and just go talk to Kaity on Zoom now, so.
Yeah, we're gonna go gossip about you guys. Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna go talk shit about all of you. Okay, bye! Oh, God.